Welcome to the Moms for Wellness podcast on SM Enlightenment Radio or TV. This is a podcast for moms who are passionate about being healthy and leading their kids to do the same. Welcome, everyone. So, how do you like the new name? Hopefully, you noticed it. I don't know how you could have missed it. I am very excited about the new name. And I just think it makes it clear as to who we are and what we are about, and just so much more inviting. And this podcast is all about supporting moms who desire wellness for themselves and for their children and for their whole family. So, that is exactly what we are about. So, who are we? Well, we are moms from all walks of life, having had all different experiences. But the thing that we all have in common is that we want wellness for ourselves and for our children. And we want our children to live full, purpose filled lives. We want them to make wise decisions when it comes to their health, their social lives, their mental state, their finances, their overall lives. And who better to set the tone and example for these decisions than us, their mothers, right? We are the decision makers of our families when it comes to the example we set for a lot of different things, for the food choices, for our habit choices, our expectations that we have in our family, the things that we choose to buy from the various stores, from the grocery store, the activities that we expect for our children to do and to engage in. We play such a critical role in shaping the minds and lives of the next generation. And it starts with our own children in our own homes. And the thing is that so much of this is caught and not just taught. So, for us to be living examples of wellness is the best method of teaching it. When we change our lives and habits, little eyes see it, or in your case, maybe bigger eyes if you have big kids in your house. And when we make it the norm in our family, it becomes the norm in their lives. It's what they know, right? And my desire is to encourage you in that and to help equip you as best I can in adding wellness to your family. And the thing that is so interesting in our wellness journey is how we got on this path. I love hearing all the different stories of how moms hopped onto the wellness path. Some were born into it in their families, so they've been living this lifestyle for a very long time. Others hopped on the path in the last month or even the last year. So, the beautiful thing is that it doesn't matter when you hopped on the wellness path. The important thing is that you are here now. And so, with that, I would love to share just a little bit about my journey onto this wellness path, and so that you can get to know me a little bit more. And then also, I invite you to share your stories. I would love to be able to hear your stories and what your background is and the things that you have been learning as well. So, a little bit about me and my journey. I grew up with a mixture. So we had our own garden and we grew all sorts of veggies, and we canned most of them for the winter. So my parents made our own applesauce, our own raspberry jam, other things like that. We made put tomatoes in jars, green beans. We had our own potatoes and lima beans. It's funny thing about lima beans. Like, I love them because we've had them growing up, but I'm realizing there's so many people out there that have such a disgust for lima beans. I just think it's so funny. But anyway, but the thing is, our garden wasn't enough to completely live on. So it wasn't like we were eating only from our garden, but we ate a lot from our garden, and we lived in the country, so we took advantage of that being all around us. So then when we moved from the country to the city, when I was in elementary school, we had a decidedly smaller garden there and a small budget to cover a large family. So we ate many things like hamburger helper, and mac and cheese and iceberg lettuce. So I'm guessing many of you can relate to that, right? Probably very similar stories for a lot of people growing up around the same time that I did. Um, so I personally also had many peculiar eating habits, and this is sometimes I'm was wondering why I even wrote this down, but I don't know. It just came to me when I was thinking about what to share about my journey, and so it's a little bit embarrassing, a lot of bit embarrassing, but okay. So two of the most bizarre things that I ate, some snacks I liked. One was spreading butter on saltine crackers and eating that. And then the other was taking those Kraft singles American cheese, which I don't even know if you can technically call it cheese. I don't know how much is actual cheese, real anything, but take one of those pieces, unpeel it, open it up, break them into little pieces, and put it on a Dorito and eat it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, can't even believe I'm admitting this." I'm like, "Ew," I know, like, it's like if you're watching, it's just gross. I can't even believe I just told you all that. But just to share that, yeah, I've been there. Like, we're not talking like, into this wellness things for my whole life. So the thing is that I was always an athlete. I was always very active. I played 3 sports in high school. I played 2 sports in college. But to say that I knew much about nutrition would definitely be a stretch. But the thing is, yeah, I had an interest in health and healthy things as an adult. And so I honestly don't know where or when it all started, but I just wanted to share a couple of the main points that stick out in my memory. And possibly there are other things that occurred that I just don't recall or weren't a big enough deal to really just stay in my memory. But these are a couple of the things that I look back on and just think of as pinpoints, as moments in my wellness journey, kind of on this process. But so my earliest memory is being interested in health related decisions was in choosing the skincare. And I remember choosing a particular skincare as a young adult because I had heard it was better for me and my health because it used ingredients that were good for me. And the thing is, like, what those ingredients were, I had no idea, nor had I done any research. I was probably being influenced by a mixture of what I was reading in a magazine, my own intuition, maybe what other people were saying. I honestly don't have any recollection. I just remember thinking, oh, this is kind of important. I should probably choose some good skincare. Okay. And then as far as eating goes, I definitely had a lot further to go, as you can tell. But I was very much a dieter, having done just about every fad diet out there since my teen years. So just imagine how wrecked my adrenals had become as an adult. So my earliest memory of making any connection of the food that I was eating to my overall health was when I had my first migraine. So I was in my first year of teaching, my first year of adulting, living in a new state far away from my home, and I had an ocular migraine. And I thought I was going blind. So I had never even heard of migraines before, let alone what different types there were and how they presented. So, if you're not familiar, an ocular migraine is when you start seeing splotches and dots, and it would block out whole sections of my vision. And so it would progressively get worse over a half an hour. So, and then the headache comes on. And so, so that was my first experience with that. I had no idea what was happening. It was very frightening. So, needless to say, that sent me to a neurologist and on the path to discovering what my trigger for my migraines was, or my triggers that it may be. So, I discovered that aspartame was a migraine trigger for me. So, side note, I find it interesting that I did not do further research on aspartame or migraines or change my overall diet based on this. I simply scanned products to be sure aspartame was not in the ingredient list before buying it. So the major culprit was a particular yogurt that I had been eating. So I knew I couldn't have that. And then I just checked for it in other things as well. So I have come to find out recently that aspartame is a very, very dangerous chemical that is in a lot of foods. And it is one of the six main artificial sweeteners that is commonly used in many processed foods and drinks. And you can check out episode 9 that I did to discover more about artificial sweeteners. It's called Artificial Sweeteners. It does a deep dive into that. You can definitely check that out, give you more information about that. But I just think it's ironic that I didn't take the time to learn more about it. I didn't end up knowing all this kind of information about it. I just thought, oh, that's not a good ingredient for me. I shouldn't have that. I need to make sure I don't have it. It does this to me. That's all I knew about it. So that was my first run in with ingredient issues. And then my only other ingredient issue that I recall is when I was wearing sunscreen on my face. So, fast forward many years, I'm married, I have kids now, and I would have a reaction on my face when I wore sunscreen, and I didn't know why. So, it hurt, it would get blotchy, painful, I was just having a reaction to it. And so, I finally figured out that it was due to another pesky ingredient in my sunscreen, which was parabens. So, parabens are very dangerous chemicals in a lot of skincare and makeup, and obviously in sunscreen as well. So, not only was it an irritant for me, but it was also an endocrine disruptor, among many other things. So, again, this experience did not send me into a full on research, right? That it may have been the thing that caused me to start looking for paraben free skincare. I'm not even, honestly, I'm not even sure of that. Like, I'm not sure which of those came first. But it might have kind of secured that, like, oh, this is important. Make sure this isn't in my skincare as well. I want to, kind of pay attention to the ingredients. But again, I hadn't done a deep dive research. I didn't really know what the things were that could be in skincare, could be in makeup, could be in food. I just knew these were things that I had an issue with. I need to make sure that those aren't in the products that I'm using. So the thing is that my journey is very vague and lacking information all along the way. And I had these seemingly random experiences, but did not do that full research until much later in my life. And it wasn't until all these whisperings of health related issues and thoughts and things started building up to a point where I wondered if in fact does it have a profound impact on my overall health and my ability to function to my fullest? So, these are the thoughts that came swirling into my head when my child was having difficulty in school. So, that caused me to start thinking, could the foods that we eat affect this? Could the products that we are using affect this? What is the relationship between the products we use and our health? What is the relationship between the food we eat and our overall health? Is there even any relationship there? And see, the thing is, it wasn't until a crisis came that I did full research on it. So I had heard about all kinds of possible connections, but the thing is, maybe I was willfully ignoring them. Maybe I was waiting until I had a chance to research them. Maybe I didn't really want to know the truth. I'm honestly not sure what it was. But the fact remains, I was in the dark as to what those connections were until I did my research because of a crisis. And now here's the thing, I have learned a lot over this time. I have come a long way, and I still have a long way to go. I am a work in progress. I am where I am on the journey, and you are where you are on the journey. And we can learn a lot from each other and grow together. So, here are a few of the things that I have learned along the way. Not an extensive list, just a few of the things that I've learned. I have learned about the underlying connection the Epstein Barr virus has to many other illnesses. I have learned about the epidemic of autoimmune diseases in our country. I have learned what it is like to live with an autoimmune disease and to walk a child through living with an autoimmune disease. I have come to understand the power and wisdom of functional medicine doctors and nutritionists. I have experienced the healing that chiropractic care can bring. I have learned the amazing power and connection of gut health to one's skin and overall health. I have discovered the power of stretching and yoga and the relief and healing that it can bring. I have discovered all is not what it seems when it comes to choosing food off the grocery shelf or skincare or makeup off the drugstore shelf. I have experienced the impact on my body that changing the foods I eat can make. I have learned that seemingly odd or far out remedies are not truly odd or far out. I realized I had been conditioned to thinking that popping a pill was the proper course of action to take when not feeling well. I have learned the importance of asking questions and digging to get to the root cause of something. But here's the thing. I was a slow change. I had a lot of convincing to be done. I had a lot of reprogramming to be occurring there. Guys, the whole concept that the food I was eating was affecting my health was such a tough concept for me to grasp. Like food as medicine, so weird. That's crazy. And it's crazy to me to look back and think that I thought that was a crazy thought because it seems to make perfect sense. But I couldn't see it. I remember truly wondering, you guys listen to this. I remember truly wondering if a toxin was really a thing. Wondering if a cleanse to rid your body of toxins was perhaps hogwash or a swindling of my money. Like that took a lot of convincing to really believe that. I remember listening to speakers share about the whole concept of the stopped up drain of our bodies, that our bodies are like bathtubs that are filled with dirty water, and we need to open the drain and let that bad, dirty water out, which is all the toxins and all the junks that fill up that need to be able to flow and get out of our body. And I wasn't sure if I was buying it. It was so different than anything I had ever learned or understood before. So, if you are new in your journey on the wellness path, I understand where you might be coming from. I was there. I wasn't sure about all of this. It all sounded a bit far out there for me, if you will. I needed explanation and facts and reasons. And the beautiful thing is, there are many, many, plenty of facts and reasons for wellness, for making particular choices. And my friends, that is exactly why I have this podcast, to share those reasons, to share information and practical advice and simple ways to make changes and incorporate wellness in your life and in your family. It took me a long time to understand these and to learn about these. I didn't know these things, but now I do know these things and I want to share them. I want to help make your process and journey into wellness quicker and easier than it was for me. I am passionate about this because it is my lived experience. I was in the dark on a lot of these issues, and I have come to see that it is very intentional to be that way. So I know it is hard to discover these connections. So the fact that you are here, my friend, and listening and walking on this journey with me is a wonderful thing. I am so glad you are here. Please help us spread the word with other moms. Please share this podcast with some of your friends and let them walk on this journey with us. There are so many ways that we can go about accomplishing wellness and learning and understanding. And that is what all the episodes in this podcast are all about. So if you are new, welcome. We are so excited to have you as a part of our community. So, what can you expect? Well, here's a little review of the topics that we have already covered. We have talked about meal planning and eating more veggies. We have talked about gut health. We have talked about organic farming, and it's amazing that connection between organic farming and gut health is phenomenal. We have talked about healing your body naturally. We've talked about autoimmune diseases, and there's a lot of them out there. We've talked about vitamins. Are they worth it? What do they actually do? We've talked about helping our kids who are struggling in school. We talked about artificial sweeteners. I already mentioned that one. We've talked about hidden ingredients that are sabotaging our health. There's so much out there that we might not even be aware of. We've talked about living gluten free and what that is like. We've talked about how to choose a sunscreen, how we've talked about fasting and its effect on our bodies. We've talked about the effect of gratitude on our lives and so much more. We have 25 amazing episodes for you to go back through and listen to. It's a great way to fill your arsenal for healthy living. So I encourage you to go back and check out those episodes. So, what are things that we have to look forward to? Well, we are going to be talking about things like juggling it all, like how do we do it as moms, mental health for ourselves and for our kids, organization and why it matters, mom guilt. Do I have your attention there? Eating during the school year, and so many more things. So if you have ideas for topics that you would like us to cover, please reach out to me. DM me on Instagram and let me know your idea for a topic. Or if you have a guest idea, definitely let me know that too. And here's one more thing that I want to say. I know that we as mamas very often tend to put ourselves last, right? And that we make changes because of our kids, for our kids. And I get that. I was there. In fact, my doctor pretty much yelled at me, talked to me sternly for it, her frustration for me for not changing for my own health, but only when it came to my child's health, I made the change. She was very frustrated with me. So trust me, when I say I get it, I totally understand it. But please hear me when I say, with all love and sincerity, don't do that. Don't wait. You making changes to better your health and improve your wellness is, in fact, helping your children. Do it for you, do it for them, but do it. Start making changes. Start making progress toward wellness for you and for your kids, and ultimately for your family. I am so glad you are here, and I'm excited for season 2 of Moms for Wellness. Welcome to our community. Let's go. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining me on SM Enlightenment Radio or TV, or joining me on the Moms for Wellness podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the Moms for Wellness podcast and leave a 5-star rating or review. It really is helpful, and we would be so grateful. I'm Jenny. Have a good one.